All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I want to call today's podcast is Don't Wait to Do Something Amazing for Yourself. And I think a lot of us, we don't realize that we have all these different talents and strengths. I talk about it all the time on my YouTube channel and my podcast. If you listened to any of them previously, a lot of us don't realize all the skills we have. For one, we don't want to take the time to develop them. And the other thing is a lot of times we just run out of patience before we discover them. And what I want to get into this podcast regarding this subject is, I just actually recently had a conversation with my oldest daughter, and she loves the film and the movie industry. And she was talking about me when I was making films, because when I was making movies, she was too young to even acknowledge I was making my films. I made like 2 feature films when she was basically very young. She don't even remember when I was making them. And then I kind of co-produced the 3rd film. And, she was asking me, are you going to make another movie, you think? And I said, I don't think so, necessarily. It depends. You never know. I don't want to say no. But what she said, and she was right, and she says, well, at least you did what you wanted to do, which is kind of amazing. You went after what you wanted to do. And I've always kind of looked at it that same way. I remember when my daughter was sick, my oldest one, the same one, and she was going through a liver transplant, and I've discussed this before on my podcast, that I remember sitting with her. She was a baby, or holding her, and she was very sick. For the first year of her life, I think she was in a hospital more than out. And my dream was always to make a movie or make movies. And I never went after my dreams, right? Or I just never went after it. And I'm holding a baby, and I didn't know if she was going to live another week, another month. I had no idea. And I'm thinking, she may never have the opportunities that I had. What was holding me back from doing what I wanted to do? Most likely, probably insecure. I didn't have the confidence. I always wanted to come up with an excuse why I couldn't do something instead of just learning how to do it. And I had to say, once I get her healthy, then I'm going to go after this. Now, was there a price to pay doing that? Absolutely. I think it took a toll on my marriage. It took a toll on me, especially doing back-to-back feature films. And the thing I look back at now is and say, that actually, going through all that made me who I am today. So I definitely wouldn't want to change that. And I wouldn't want to change it for my daughters, my parents, or anybody else. Anyone who knows me hopefully knows that when I decide on doing something, I'm going to do it. To a certain degree, it's very self-centered. But the truth was, I always just felt like I can do something amazing. Now, were my films amazing? Absolutely not. But what I looked at as being amazing is I was able to do something that was so far from where I was and go after that, because it seemed like a fantasy or a dream. And I'm going back to the late 90s when it wasn't like it is now trying to make a movie, right? Everything is so different now. I mean, I couldn't even tell you as far as even being able to how much more you have, not even as far as technology, or even being able to cast certain people, or setting up, the shoots, or all these different, and just how more acceptable it is to be shooting people with a camera, and just the whole independent film industry in itself is so different. I kind of caught the end of that. The new movement of making films now, with cameras coming out, you could do certain things. I caught the beginning of that, but I caught the end of kind of the old-time stuff where people were still making film kind of the old-fashioned way, I guess you could say, right? But back to doing something amazing for myself, I then went on to write a couple books, which I was a horrible student in school, and I don't have any idea why I wrote these books. I have an idea why I did them, but I would have never thought I would have done that. But I built up enough confidence to say, now I think I'm ready to write a book. I'll have an editor, but this is what I want to write about. And I went and did it. And the more things you do for yourself that you think sometimes you can't do, that you want to do, it's going to change you as a person. And I'm not even going to say it changes you for the better or worse. I've seen a lot of people do something that they never thought they would do amazing. They become real arrogant, cocky assholes, especially if they make a ton of money on it. I want to do a podcast on that too, regarding a lot of times people that make a lot of money will expose you for who you are, truly. I don't mean that only in a bad way, or either way, good or bad. You can see people that make a lot of money that do good with it. You can also see a lot of people that make a lot of money that do a lot of bad with it too. And I don't think we always, we want to, if we're one of those people who are making all this money, then all of a sudden we want to do a lot of things that are illegal or doing things that are maybe not, you could do whatever you want to do, but I think you get my point. And then you see other people, I think a lot of times, that make a lot of money, very charitable, always helping others. That's something that I find quite interesting. But I always said the more money, because I realized when I was making a lot of money, when I was younger, it changes you. Some was good, some was bad, right? Because now you have the power and the means to do things you may have not had before. And there's an arrogance level to that. But back to doing something for yourself, I don't think a lot of people think they can do certain things. And, I used to love listening to people regarding, let's say, The Secret or different, religious figures even, or public speakers and professional athletes, coaches, trainers. I've tried to absorb kind of everything that I thought would work for me, And, you're always hearing these guys preach and say, you could be anything you want to be. The truth is you can't. I mean, you're out of your mind if you think that. Like I discussed this before on podcast. If you think I'm going to go be Michael Jordan, I'm not, most likely. Physically, I don't have that ability to do what he was doing. I'm just using for an example. So let's not be ridiculous. But it doesn't mean that I can't be involved with the NBA if I wanted to maybe go coach, if I wanted to be a referee, an umpire, maybe participate in whatever they're doing. You can do those things, but to say a lot of times you can be anything and do anything you want to be is unrealistic, because not only from my own perspective, I want to be a middle linebacker like Dick Butkus or a running back like Walter Payton, and that was my dream. But then as I got older, I'm 135 pounds as a senior in high school. That wasn't happening. It just wasn't going to happen, like to go play college. So put all that aside and let's get back to the amazing part. I don't think a lot of people realize that they can truly do amazing things, because one is either they were told in their past that they were either stupid or they wouldn't, become anything, or they just didn't believe in themselves, or they were in a surroundings where it was frowned upon maybe to think outside the box or go experiment and try different things and break out of the norm, or not become so routine in life, not just fall in place and do what their parents did, for instance, or what their parents thought they should do, or what your siblings thought you should do, or what your teachers told you should become. All these different types of things. And I'm here to tell you'd be shocked again at how capable you are of doing something you love once you figure out the one thing you want to accomplish, or that's the one thing you need to figure out is, what do I truly want to accomplish? And here's the thing, most likely, it's going to suck at the beginning. You almost have to look at yourself as an inventor, where you're constantly failing in your life, and failure's good till you eventually create what you want. Now again, it doesn't have to always be spectacular. If you want to, maybe you want to design a certain type of car, right? Or create your own car in the future. I'm just using for an example. That doesn't mean you have to create the Tesla, if that makes sense. One is, most of us don't have enough money to even have the knowledge. The truth is, we don't have the knowledge a lot of times to do something at the beginning to that level. People don't realize how much knowledge it takes, how much money and time. That still does not mean you can't go after something, or at least start something, or start somewhere. And I think we're always, as a society, looking at saying, all right, I want to start a company. But one thing, here's the other thing I should say too, is when we think about things sometimes, we're comparing ourselves to Google. I don't care if it's Facebook. I don't care if it's Amazon. Like saying, I want to start a company online, blah, blah, blah. Forget that shit. You're not even you're not even up the bat yet. Just start, okay? And I get, if your long-term goal is to be one of those companies, God bless you. The odds of you doing it are in the billions. But hey, that doesn't mean you can't start something, and who knows where it's going to lead to. It may work for you, right? It's almost like winning the lottery a lot of times. I don't think people even realize these big conglomerate companies, how long they worked and how many things went their way and how timing was everything. But when it comes to you making something amazing or creating something amazing, just look at it as small. It's kind of like somebody who wants to get up in baseball and, I get we all want to hit the Grand Slam Game 7 of the World Series, right? That sounds wonderful, incredible, if you know what I'm saying, or make the winning catch at a Super Bowl, at a Super Bowl, or I'm just using sports as some type of idea what I'm talking about. But think about it kind of in baseball again. You just want to get up the bat at first. You just want to get a hit. And you keep wanting to get hits. Your consistency, right? You don't want to keep getting up there and striking out or never getting up to bat at all. And I think a lot of us, think we're going to strike out every time we go up there, and that's not the case. I don't believe that at all. I do believe, no matter who you are, again, you can't be unrealistic, though, about it. I'm telling you right now, and I don't care how much you believe in the secret, things are going to come my way or they're going to come. You got to take a lot of action. You have to be consistent, and you have to understand that whatever you want to create is going to probably take so much longer than you think. That's probably usually a good thing when you look back at it. Okay? That is just the truth, because you're most likely not going to know what the hell you're doing. You're going to learn so much along the way, and sometimes, like hypothetically, if you got $100 million to go create something and you never knew how to manage money, you'd probably go out there and piss most of it away. You would lose most of your money, like a lot of people, because they don't know what they're doing. It's almost better to think again smaller, getting up the bat and being consistent and having some money management, but it's not even about money. It's about you learning and going after what you want to go after. But being really kind of sharp and intelligent regarding how to go about it, not trying to, become something at the beginning that you're not. And I think a lot of people do that. And, the one thing I realized too is, even though things aren't maybe or don't turn out to be as successful as you think, doesn't mean it wasn't amazing. I go to these car shows with my father a lot of times, and we see all these different types of cars. And what I find so interesting is, one, I can't work on cars, interior, exterior, whatever the case may be, and they'll show you 2 photos of where they picked the car up in the junkyard in the condition it was in. And then they show you the end result. And it's amazing what how much time and effort it puts into that. Now, that may not be amazing to somebody who I guess is in maybe the car industry. But again, depending on where that person started off and where he ended up, he may have never been a mechanic. He may have just a dream of his, or to others, I guess is what I'm saying, it is amazing to a lot of us that a lot of people can do those type of things, or that can create certain things out of nothing, or something very minuscule into something very amazing. And I think it's a lot of small steps too. So back to, if you want to create your own car, and I'm just using that for an example, is going out and learning how to work on cars, or kind of evolving and figuring out, how to first obviously fix cars, or how to, do whatever you want to do to the damn car, but starting off again small, not saying, okay, I want to build the next Lamborghini, especially if you don't have enough knowledge and you don't have enough money to do those type of things. And I get a lot of us, again, want to do fascinating, amazing things, and I'm not telling you to stop doing that, just so we're clear. I want to make sure. But I do think people need to take an honest approach and just start thinking clearly and really believing in themselves, because, again, even from your own body and your mind, if you even start from saying you're not in very good shape, or you're obese, or you're extremely thin, you want to gain muscle, you can do something probably that you never believed you could do. And you can get maybe the body, or come close to that, maybe that you always wanted. And I just saw this not long ago in one of the gyms. And, I'm in and out of so many gyms. And I saw somebody who was extremely obese in the pool. And he must have been between 400 and 500 pounds. He could barely swim. He was doing laps. And I was watching him in one of these gyms I was in Canada, actually, near Toronto. Where was I? Oshawa? I think it's a gorgeous LA Fitness actually, but he was swimming and he was fighting, going back and forth, and I could tell, oh my God. But all I kept thinking in my mind is, this is amazing. He is not giving up on himself, and he is really trying his hardest. Now, will he ever, get down to, say, 200 pounds or whatever he decides, 250, 300, I don't know. But he didn't realize how he was affecting me, which I thought was kind of amazing. And then at the locker room when we're getting ready to go, I seen him coming in and he was so exhausted. And it made me think about my own health, like I would think anybody else's, like how fortunate I am. I was able to work out my entire life and get the body that I kind of always desired. I really, in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I did do what I wanted to do after everything was said and done. And what I'm talking about here is I don't think he realizes maybe he put himself in his position with obesity, or maybe he has health conditions, but he may not realize all the people he's affecting, even if it's just me, but himself, that to be 500 pounds and to go do laps and really work out as hard as you can, it's an amazing feat. It really is sometimes, and we sometimes don't realize how amazing a lot of things that we're all doing, how it is affecting others. And it could be your kids, colleagues, family members, friends. A lot of us do a lot of things, and I don't think we realize, and I talked about this before in my podcast, how it affects others. You're probably doing things that are amazing right now, right? And people may be even emulating you or looking up to you, even if you're a parent, a grandparent, aunt, uncle as well. You're doing something already, probably, especially if you're a great person. You can be just somebody who is just always there for somebody, which is amazing in itself. You could be somebody who's always willing to give great advice, or if anybody needs anything, you're there for them. Say you have a family member that's sick, you're at the hospital with them. There's all these things that you're probably already doing. So believe it or not, you're already kind of an amazing person. And sometimes when I talk, it sounds corny. You're like, you're kind of ridiculous, Rich. We're not all amazing. The truth is, we kind of are to a certain degree. So I'm just going to wrap it up there, and I want you to please believe in yourself and believe that there are things that you can accomplish, even though you probably don't even think so. And if you need help, ask. Don't be afraid. A lot of people love helping, coaching. As long as you believe in yourself and you're genuinely a good person, and I think you're genuine, just on a whole, about having certain things that you want to go after. And, if you believe in yourself, I promise you others are going to believe in you as well. That I can assure you. Now, if you're entirely alone, here's the other thing I was going to say, because I get it when you're alone, too. I've been alone, or I've been in those points where you just don't ask anybody for help. But when it comes to that situation, if you are alone, you have to believe in yourself. Because regardless what you're going to go through, most likely anything you do, for one, you're going to need the help of others. That I can almost assure you that is going to be something that you're going to most likely need. I don't care what it is. You are not going to be able to live your life independently and do things without any help from anyone. I don't care if you need electricity. You're going to need help from your electricity company. I don't care. You got to have Wi-Fi. You got to, whatever you want to do. You want to create something. You want parts. Whatever it is, knowledge even, whatever you want to learn, you're going to need to read books. Whatever the case may be, or watch videos, you're going to need knowledge from others. You're going to always need help. So sometimes when you're alone, that's where you're going to, you're just going to have to realize that's who's there for you. Because sometimes people aren't always going to be there for you, and that's a fact. We can't always depend on others personally to carry the load or be there for us. But there are a lot of things out there, again, books, videos, people we don't even know that will be able to help us go achieve these things. All right? I hope I didn't get too complicated at the end there. I think you understand what I'm saying. But understand, you can do some amazing shit. And you just got to believe in yourself. I know you hear it all the time, but if you don't believe it, nobody else is. And if you don't accomplish what you kind of want to go after, which happens to a lot of us fail, there's either we quit or there's a reason behind it, because the truth is a lot of us are intelligent, but a lot of us aren't as intelligent as we think we are the deeper we kind of go down the rabbit hole. So you may again want to learn how to create your own car, but as time goes on you realize, well, I'm not as, I don't have the skills maybe to create my own car, but I do have the skills maybe to create a motorcycle hypothetically, or I may have the skills to create something else. So don't sell yourself short with that. But sometimes the truth is we fall short because sometimes our brain just isn't that sharp to do what we always wanted to do. Same with physical things. A lot of us want to do something. Say you want to run a 6-minute mile your whole life and you never did it. Your genetics may be a big part of that. That doesn't mean you didn't have the heart and the desire to do that. That didn't mean you didn't train constantly to do that. That just may mean you just couldn't do it. But the ride along the way is going to definitely be worth it. That I promise you. And maybe you didn't do the 6-minute mile. You can maybe do it in 7. Maybe you could do it 8. That's still awesome. And that's amazing. So I'll wrap it up there. If you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. So if you're traveling, safe travels.